Again, after evaluating the film, come back, plenty of things that we have to fix and get better at. And as you look at the things, it's played in spurts, did not play as well consistently, and it's doing, as I always try to say, it's doing ordinary things better and becoming more fundamentally sound when we do things and being much more consistent. And like I say, on offense, moved the ball, actually did not have a 3 and out in the first half. Moved the ball to midfield and did not execute and finish a couple drives. Missed a couple blocks, whether it was on the perimeter, inside, should have got points. And then even as they were scoring points, we go kick 2 field goals, 3 field goals in those times, or respond with some kind of points or momentum, would have been much better in what we did. But a lot of hit a couple runs, then have a negative run, have a pass, miss a third down, or then we made the third downs in the beginning, a couple of them, and then we didn't at the end, got a couple long, but had too many penalties, too many costly penalties at crucial times in the game. We get into it, like I say, a couple drives right there, we were on the 34, 1st and 10, have a negative or no run, then missed 2 blocks on the perimeter on an easy little screen pass that we usually make 6, 8, 9 yards on, get the ball to a real good player. Didn't get that block, then we get a motion penalty, so that moves us back out of field goal range. Then we could hit an easy pass, supposed to break, we don't, and miss a field goal opportunity, let that go, and did not do that. Second half, come out, we only had 22 plays in the second half, and that was the thing. We come out the first half, had the first 3 and out, we missed a block on a little screen, one that what's the name had scored on the week before, something we do really well, and just didn't do it. Then we scored. Then we come back the next drive, have a run for 8 yards, and we have another RPO for 8. Then we have a naked we hit for 8 off 2 run play actions, and then we have it calls for an illegal guy downfield, which is, I ain't gonna get into that, but I guess it is. And then we come back, and then we hit the pass off the goal, have an RPO, hit the 30-yard pass. Next play, we got a shot, they're gonna blitz. Most likely, if not, we got a check down the spiller, got it wide open, and we hit it off and it got deflected and interception, then we're down 2 scores. Didn't get the ball back as much. But move the ball, but at the same time, got to play much more consistent. Took shots in the game, didn't have many. The way they played, they forced you to throw the ball underneath, and that was a game where we had to catch and run and execute. We didn't do as good enough job in our runs. We didn't have as many clean runs. Defensively, first 3 drives, they scored. They had big plays. They started on the 14, 20, and 18, all backed up inside the 20. They hit a field goal and 2 touchdowns, 1 big play and another one on 1. Then they punted. Then they had another big drive. First 4 out of 4 and 5 drives they drove, and then luckily we made a great stop on the 21 down there on 4th down. Then we come back and got a field goal and got back in the game. And saying all that, we were down 17-0. That thing could have got ugly really quick. We got better as the game went on. Our offensive line, I thought, played better once we got into the game and moving it at the end. We got back to 17-10 with 7:53 left in the 3rd quarter. We battled back and got back there. Proud of the kids the way they did that. But we didn't finish. We had a couple plays to finish right there. We got the illegal man downfield and a sack, and then we get to 18, and we have a pressure, got a guy over on a route, and we get a pressure, have to throw it away, and then just not consistent. It was just one guy here, one guy here, one guy here, one guy here. Different sections, different groups. Offense and defense too, same thing. And then didn't finish. Special teams, punter did a really good job. He had 5 punts inside the 20, averaged 45, 46 yards a punt. Field position, he did a tremendous job. We had 1 kick. We had no punt returns. Our punter punted the ball really good too. He punted it high, and we didn't get returns. We had one good kickoff return. The one we could return, we popped all the way out to like 35, 36, whatever it was. Had a good one there in that regard. We covered punts for the most really well, and all of our kickoffs went out of the end zone. So from a field position battle. But like I say, we're playing on long fields, and you got to execute. You got to drive. And when teams play big umbrella coverages, you have to execute long drives and hit things or catch and run. And we got to do a better job of that or pop some runs, which we popped 1. We got to pop some more. We got to have some more clean looks for our backs to get through. I mean, even though our 4 and 5 yard runs, we had a lot, we'd make a guy miss right about 3 yards and take 5, but they did a nice job in that. And we just got to play better. And it's, like I say, at the same time, disappointed in our deal, but at the same time, there's a lot of good things that happen in the game, and it's one game. But you know what? We can't let one game become 2. We got to come back and practice with even better habits. Hopefully, get a couple guys back if we can get them back, and play at a better level and play more consistent all the way across the board in all 3 phases. And we got a very tough opponent this week, Mississippi State. As I said, Mississippi State's playing outstanding defense right now. I think they're getting up 71 yards a game rushing. They're experienced. They're physical up front. Their front 7 is very physical. Secondary, athletic corners are long, big. Offensively, Mike's going to throw it. They're going to spread it out in full wides, 3-by-1, empty, 2-by-2, and throw it. Rogers is, I believe, completing about 75% of his passes right now. They've had some tough luck and some tough games, some really close games. Could go either way almost every game they've had, kind of like everybody's. And but they've gotten better and better. Mike being there the second year. Receivers are athletic and long. Backs are good players, and lines experience. So it's going to be a tough game. So we need to get cleaned up. Clean the mistakes up from this game, look them over today, clean those up, and then get ready for Mississippi State and move on. Questions?
Go to Brett, Travis, and Olin to start us off.
When you go back and look at the tape, I believe you had one run after the 67-yard touchdown run.
There's only 2 possessions.
Yeah, in retrospect, would you try to maybe run it a little bit more, or why didn't you mention not enough clean looks? Yeah.
Well, right here, I'll tell you right here what it was. We popped a run, and we ran it for 8 yards. Then we ran it again, but had an RPO and threw it for 8. Then we ran a bootleg, just play action naked, hit it for 8. Then we got a penalty, so we're 1st and 20. And after that drive, we come back, we had it on the goal. That's what messed that drive up. We had the penalty. And then come back the next drive, had another RPO, but they had the one-on-one outside, and that's where he hit Anais up the sideline for 30 yards right in front of our bench. And next play, we were taking a shot, trying to get the ball, trying to throw a deep ball, and had a 28 noon. We was going to come out to the pick, and then we're down 2 scores after that and had to go. It was a short game. Yes, I'd love to ran it. Love to stay. We were going to stay patient right there. We were going on 1st down, trying to pick up a nice gain. Hopefully we'd get 6-8. If we didn't hit the shot, run it again and keep a drive of 17-10, and the turnover occurred. And so I could say it was only 4 possessions, and 2 possessions after that. And we had 2 runs, and then we got the penalty when you're 1st and 20. We couldn't overcome it. We got the penalty downfield.
And Zach, as he continues to progress, do you feel like maybe he held it a little bit too long, and also would you like to see him maybe run a little bit more in certain situations?
At times you got to do that and feel that, and then I think we got to play better around him. You go back on Zach. Zach's a new guy. We got experienced receivers, backs, tight ends, and all that. We have to play well around him, and now we had some young linemen too, so that's the other thing. And everything on the quarterback he's like I say, he's the eraser. We're used to having, when you have those experienced guys who clean up everybody's messes, and Zach can do that. He did it some, but he's got to do it more, and it's tough. And he's got to grow. Could he have ran more? Possibly could have. Could he have held on to it? Yes. He's got to make good, clean looks. And like the one that we got the sack on, the unfortunate thing, that was the one time we got a low snap. It was on his ankles. When your head goes down, put it this way, drive a car, be in downtown Houston. You got 2.5 seconds to make a decision and throw the ball out. Stick your head below the dashboard, count 1,001, then raise up, and you're driving 50 miles an hour. See how many good decisions you make.
I'll pass.
That's what I'm saying. And I said, that's what I say. It goes back to we got a nice play and a snap. The one time we get a low snap, and that takes your eyes down, you come back up. And sometimes inexperienced guys, things change, it moves it all around. That's one of the negatives of a shotgun if the snap's not right. We only had 2 of those all day, but 2 concussions. One was on a high one was on a low one. And that cost us in that same scenario after the penalty. That's what happened on 1st down. After we had the 8-yard, the penalty on that. And that's why I say the timeliness of wanting to make plays is what we got to learn. We got to learn it. Every play matters. There can't be a time in those crucial times. That's when you got to be your coolest. That's when you got to be your highest execution, and we got to be able to handle it. And we didn't do that. And that's coaching too. We got to coach them better. We got to make sure in practice that they can handle those moments, do those moments, not blame it on those kids at all. That's at the end of the day, we're coaches. We're responsible. You're responsible for your kids. I'm responsible for our players. I mean, you have to do that. We have to build that confidence in them in practice. We have to build that confidence in them on Saturdays and do the fundamentals to make sure we can handle those situations all the way through.
Down front, Travis, and then Olin.
I know the last couple of weeks, Isaiah Spiller has mentioned having a little bit of a lack of attention to detail, and he mentioned practice. Do you feel like the team has been prepared, the standard has been set high enough in practice leading the last 2 weeks?
Listen, we're preparing, but the standard of how to do details, I mean, we're not detailed enough, or we would play that way. I mean, now, why is that detail? Some of that's experience. Some of that is youth. Some of that is critical new guys at critical different positions at different moments of what happens, because you're rotating guys and you're playing freshman linemen, you're playing some young receivers, you're playing a young new quarterback. I mean, now, is that excuse? No, you still have to meet the standard of what you got to do, because that's when your opportunities calls. What I tell those guys all the time, you either wait to play or you prepare to play. But the one thing you can't give a guy is experience. Experience, he has to get it in the saddle, and they got to realize that. Now, at the same time saying that, I was proud of them the way they battled back and got better during the game, in my opinion. But then we got to that critical moment, we just couldn't get over it. And that goes on both sides. That's offense and defense. I mean, that's both sides. And we have a little more experience on defense, and and where we're at there. But we gave up things. We can't get behind 17-0 right off the bat in the first three series of the game. And then you talk about wanting to run the ball. Then you got to be careful getting too conservative. Then and all of a sudden that game gets out of hand. It could have, because we didn't get a fourth down stop. It could have been 24. And what we did. So we got to learn to get out of the blocks in both phases and play better and execute better. And practice, and more importantly, practice better. I mean, and you can always practice. You can always play better. You can always practice better. And that standard is getting better. Last week I thought was one of the best ones we had, but it's still UCC. We're not we have to push that level with these young guys and make sure we can execute at critical times.
Is Eli Stowers still splitting time between tight end and quarterback?
He was some, yes.
Okay.
Olin and then
He knows
Zach.
the routine.
Yeah, Jimbo, look, y'all probably, I would think, see similar defenses that Arkansas shows y'all quite a bit this year. What's the best way to attack that kind of defense?
Just like we did last year. Execute, be able to run the ball consistently, hit those 8, 10, 12, 15-yard throws, and score 6 touchdowns in a row like we did a year ago. I mean, same stuff, same thing. We executed and hit the throws, hit those short routes, and caught and ran. And like last year we played, and we went 3 and out on a third down and then scored 6 straight touchdowns. I mean, you got to execute. It makes long drives, and they keep an umbrella and don't give you many long throws. We took about 6 shots in the game, got 1 or 2 decently down the field, but they played. We had to hit intermediate things and run, and that's what we did. That's the way you have to play that.
And do you think that
Or you can dictate the run and be in control of the game. If you're not behind and the game can get more and you can control the game in the run, then you force safeties down to play the run when the game's a lot tighter situation, and then you can throw over their head that way.
Has Kenyon's effectiveness been compromised at all by having to move around?
Probably some. Yeah, it's hard on multiple positions. But receivers play multiple positions. They play inside, they play outside, and different things you do. And like DBs. DBs play corner, they play nickel. They'll be the dime guy. You'll see guys move around all the time. But it's hard on the offensive line. You have to be a center or a guard, no doubt. And that's because we try to get the best guys on the field. You have to.
Front left, Zach, and then Cole.
Jimbo, I know the offense as a whole is one part, but is there a position group in there that you have been, I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised by any means, but one that you feel is performing to the standards you set?
I feel like our running backs are playing well. I think, but they're experienced. Isaiah's playing, I think, excellent football. Many times, like I say, we try to not only hand it to him, but like I say, you're getting banged up, we try to throw it to him. That's what we was trying to do on that last play. Get him in space and get him out on a dump down route. We hit a nice screen for 19. I think the second series of the game, we hit we get a chain that way. The way the play we missed on the block was the one he scored on the week before, different screens and things. Those guys are very versatile in what we do. So I think those guys, and the experience there. I think Chain is very experienced and very smart and very good player. And I think Isaiah as a group. So those 2 guys, we need some more guys to develop behind them. We got to have a 3rd and 4th guy, and our young guys we're developing, and we feel comfortable we can play and have ready to play in case of things. But I would say that group probably so much been the most consistent by far.
Up front, Cole, and then to the left, Cease.
Coach, last week, playing
It's
against
the only one without injuries.
last week playing against Arkansas, they rushed 49 times. This week, you're going up against more of a pass-eccentric. Not to say that the run defense is not important, but do you think you would play a little bit more of a dime formation, add an extra defensive back in there because of the high tempo?
Well, it could be very easily. It just depends on what they do and what personnels they use. But they're predominantly 4 wides. And what they do, but then they'll mix in 2 back at times. And Mike's a shrewd guy, man. He knows what he's doing, and we'll have some wrinkles. There's no doubt. As the thing last week, they moved the ball really well on LSU and just didn't convert in the red zone. Had some turnovers on a couple of situations. So he'll do well. And if we'll have dime packages, nickel packages, and regular packages. We'll have all of them ready to go.
To the left, Cease, and then we'll go back behind the lights.
Jimbo, you always talk about going good on good in practice. So in practice, are your team making these little mistakes that you are in the games? And you say it's not like one group or one person, but it's
No, it's
different
not. It's
people at
different guys,
times.
different times, and that's the key. Yes,
Is that
we
happening
do.
in practice too?
And then days we don't. There's days we don't. There's days we do. You'll have good on good, and no defense will make a play. But we did last year. Every team I've ever been on does. No team I've ever played for or coached has been perfect through a whole practice. Nobody. Nobody's ever been perfect through a whole game. It's never happened. But critical moments, critical plays, and like you say, you're not with new guys and new things you do. You're not on the offensive side, especially. You're not having any erasers. We're not. There's not the huge plays that make up for a huge scramble here and there that cleans up a bad drive. it's 3rd and 10, and all of a sudden the quarterback breaks loose on a scramble, which we know we were curtailed. They had us in zone. And defense, we gave up a couple things. So, but I mean, we're close. And the thing is, you got to keep putting your best foot forward and play more consistent.
Go back behind the lights, Mike, and then to the left, Justin.
Coach, how can you guys get Weidemeyer more involved in offense? Seems like he hasn't been as heavily targeted.
Well, we got to protect a little better, and he's got to get open a little bit, and then he got to run. And we've called lots of balls to him, and sometimes we didn't know, we missed a read here and there, and that's part of it. Like I say, we haven't been all the way across, and we had a couple balls he could have caught this weekend on some balls. So it's a combination of things, just getting in rhythm on offense.
To the left, Justin, and then Olin.
Jimbo, be human nature to be frustrated at this point on offense by the lack of, success. How you let that not spill over? And are you calling things early in games for Zach to get comfortable? Because it just seems to us he's uncomfortable.
Well, I'm calling a lot of things comfortable. I mean, the things we practice each and every day, things we rep every day. And it takes time, gives experience. And, no, I'm not frustrated. Disappointed that we can play better, but I'm not frustrated. You can't get frustration can't set in. Frustration clouds your thinking. You can be disappointed about what you do, but you got to keep your head about you and how you coach and what you do, and make sure when we know we can do the things we do, it's got to do them better.
Second row there, Olin.
And Jim, I wanted to ask about Jameer Johnson and if he's going to be available.
Yeah, he will be. He should be. They come back toward the end there. They said he was okay. I mean, they just checked him out for a while, and then we were already into the game right there, so we just left the guys in there that were in there. We had the good drive and the other thing.
And then I want to ask you, is it more difficult or to have an effective backup quarterback now than maybe in the past? I would notice like at Wisconsin, their backup quarterback, they were playing against him last week, because of all the transfers.
Well, no, there's no doubt about that. I mean, especially when you get to the third guy. Now, sometimes you can get 2, but if he's young, a lot of those guys are leaving. And to keep 3 is almost utterly impossible. I don't know anybody in the country who has. I mean, there may be 1 or 2. I mean, I think has a room like that, but most of them get up and leave. It's a issue that's always going to be there, I think, from here on out. And I think that's why you're seeing this year, you're seeing so many young quarterbacks have to play across the country. And I think you're seeing, like a year ago was the year of the offense. This is the year of the defense right now. I mean, you look across at the inconsistencies of guys putting points and doing things consistent. Not everybody. I mean, you have your guys, but most of them have very experienced quarterbacks that are doing that. And that's not the only reason, but then you have injuries and you get to a second guy or another guy. It's a lot different now with the transfer portal. And at positions too. That's happening at other positions, not just quarterback.
Time for a couple more down front, Cole, to the left, Jennifer.
Kids, when they get beaten, as soon as they become second team, they forget that they're one play away from playing.
Jimbo, just 2 parts real fast. Any update on Chase and Caleb, and then also with Jalen, him being able to step up as that possessional receiver last week, just how important was it for him to see as many reps as possible?
Great. He had a great week of practice. There's a young man I have a ton of respect for. Hadn't seen a lot of reps, works his tail off every day, comes to work every day. And they're just the opposite of what we just talked about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, didn't lead, didn't do anything, just played well. Now he's got an opportunity. I thought he played really well last week in the game. Did a lot of good things in the game for us and played well. The other guys are day by day.
To the left, Jennifer, and down front, Travis.
Hi, Coach Fisher, Jennifer
Yep.
Schroeder with the battalion. When you say this is the year of the defense, what do you mean by that?
Well, right now you're seeing a lot lower scoring. A year ago, everybody was averaging 50-some points a game. I mean, bunches of teams, 40, 30. Now it just seems like the games are much more low scoring, guys with high-end teams and things. People aren't scoring as many points. Like our game, even though it's still 17-10 and up 20-10. I mean, you're seeing games this year. As I look at scores, I don't see the through the roof scores in the big games like last year was always team 50-40, 40, like us and Florida and Alabama and all those. Now, Alabama seemed to score points. Florida scored some the other day. Kept the quarterback and he ran the ball and did a good job in the run pass. But it just doesn't seem to me right now that people are scoring as much as they did a year ago. Maybe I'm off on that, but that's the perception I get. I don't follow a ton. I'm just catching scores here and there. I'm more worried about us.
Down front, Travis, and then
We need to score.
wrap this up.
And then Lane Robinson, is he available?
Yes,
for a second?
he should be practicing today. What I understand, what they said, but we'll wait and see when I get out there.
And Brent, wrap
Yeah,
this up.
Slayton, but also, did you ever get an explanation, and the defense played well overall, but on Hansford's push, did he think he was right along the sideline or something, or did you ever hear?
Should have tackled him.
That's what it comes down to.
It's just, you don't waste on that. It's gotta make the play.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Mhm.
thanks, coach.
You're right.
Hey, Coach, just out of curiosity. Do
What are you
know-
curious about?
I was just on the pass at the end of the half.
Pass at the end of the half.
Do you know if he was going to Jalen? 'Cause
It's on to Wiedemeyer.
Oh, he was going, okay. It looks like Jalen hadn't touched it. You know,
No, he
press
saw,
him out.
he told me, he said Wiedemeyer was cutting across, that's where he saw.